DJ
Welcome to DJ TV.
Femi Falana will be one of the vibrant sound for Naija. Don't come talk about the way forward for Peter Obi. My people, we greet you now. We welcome you now to this our channel. I beg, if you never subscribe to DGN TV, we are on get story and update the shele. Oh yeah, now rush go our YouTube channel, go subscribe and also follow us for Facebook as they also. Oh yeah, make we quickly run enter the story where we carry come. Femi Falana will be one vibrant senior advocate of Nigeria. Don't come talk about the way forward for Peter Obi and if at all they fit stop May 29th inauguration. He talk so many things about this inauguration matter. He get interview where he do for Arise News where he talk all these things. My people, make I leave una, make una watch the video and listen to wetin he get to talk about this whole thing. Oh yeah, now make una watch the video.
Charles, I think it's too late in the day to cry or bemoan our fate. Since 2010, we have engaged in a consistent campaign for far-reaching electoral reforms along the lines suggested, the recommendations of the Waste panel, which I said on this forum. Those recommendations were adopted by the panel set up by President Jonathan following the crisis that attended the 2011 presidential election.
Yaradua.
Yeah, no, it was Waste panel was set up by President Yaradua.
Right.
President Jonathan set up the Amelemu panel,
right,
which adopted the recommendations of
yes, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Waste wholesale. Again, President Buhari set up the Ken Namani panel, which also adopted the basic recommendations of the Waste panel.
Yeah.
But to master the political will, to implement these recommendations have always been the problem. Because the people in power want to take advantage of the loopholes in the law, including those who are complaining now. And if you look at the dramatis personae, which of them has not enjoyed what we are criticizing now? Governor Bola Tinubu, Vice President Atiku, Peter Obi, in fact more than anybody, had their elections challenged. And when those elections were challenged, they were in power. President Obasanjo and Vice President Atiku in 2003 and 2007, when they were challenged by candidate General Muhammadu Buhari, they were in power. In fact, in 2003, the election petition did not end until 2005. Now, the case of Peter Obi is more interesting. Here was a guy who was kept out of power for 3 years. He won election in 2003. But INEC declared that Dr. Chris Ngige was the winner of the election. So, the petition was contested for 35 months, almost 3 years. And in fairness to Governor Obi, after the verdict of the Court of Appeal, so well, I better go to the office to complete, to spend whatever is left of the term. And I said, no. I roar like a lion in Lagos. No. Your opponent had no term of office because his election had been annulled. So you can't complete his term of office. So you are going to start your own 4-year tenure the moment you take your oath of office. This is the position. What the respected Cardinal Onayeka is talking about is what in law we call de lege ferenda as opposed to de lege. What the law is as opposed to what the law should be. For me, I've always believed that all election petitions should be concluded before the inauguration of an incoming government. But again, this time it's not limited to the president-elect. All the governors who have been elected, including the LP Labour Party governorship candidate and governor-elect
in Abia State.
Will be sworn in. All the legislators who have been declared winners of the election on the platform of PC, APC, PDP, Labour Party, and all of them will also be inaugurated on the 29th
right. But for the benefit of our audience who may not know these things, what is the law as it stands today with regard, for example, to the presidential
now,
tribunal? I mean, there are different time frames for each level, aren't there?
By virtue of Section 285 of the Constitution, election petitions shall be heard by our courts and determined within a period of 180 days. That's 6 months.
That is on the tribunal level.
Yes.
Yeah, the presidential.
Also at the Court of Appeal level.
Right. So that's another 6 months.
No. For the presidential election,
right,
it starts at the Court of Appeal, and then you have an option to go to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
So if you have 180 days in the Court of Appeal, you have additional 2 months, 60 days in the Supreme Court.
Right.
In the case of governorship, which is the only one that allows for 3 stages.
Yeah.
You go to the election petition tribunal for 180 days, Court of Appeal for 60 days, Supreme Court for 60 days. That's keeping the governor in office for 10 months.
Yeah.
While his opponent or his opponents are fighting the legitimacy of his election. So this is the position. In fact, there's a provision of the Electoral Act, I think Section 120, which provides that even if the tribunal or the Court of Appeal this time around says the man who has been declared the winner of the election has not been properly elected, he has 21 days to appeal. Again,
and he still remains in office, right?
Once the appeal is filed within 21 days.
Right.
So that is the law now. But what do now? But for me, these provisions were made when nobody thought we were going to have electronic voting, likely. Right. In other African countries, and this is very sad for us, in 2017, the Supreme Court of Kenya decided the election petition, presidential election petition, within 14 days. And I drew the attention of Nigeria to that development. I wrote a piece, which was widely circulated in the media, entitled Electoral Justice in Kenya and Nigeria. And I drew the attention of my colleagues particularly to the need for us to ask for an amendment of the Constitution. Because in other African countries, even Ghana here, the challenge of the presidential election is only taken at the Supreme Court. In Kenya, it's the same thing. You don't begin at the Court of Appeal. 2.
So it goes straight to the Supreme Court. Yeah.
In most other African countries, you have constitutional courts. Enough time, let's say 6 months. Conduct the elections 6 months before inauguration, so that all the petitions will have been concluded.
Yeah.
That was it. But now I am saying
that even at this the way it is now, you can speed the process up.
In this case, you conduct elections in February, right? If you embrace technology and make it work, we can conclude election petitions in 14 days or 21 days.
But putting on the other, or maybe I should even say your civil rights hat, what a hammering Bola Tinubu and his aides are taking as a result of this election. What does he need to do to reduce the force of those hammer blows that each day remind him of the questions of legitimacy and credibility that trail him and his INEC declared election victory?
So you see, we had the situation in 2007 when the president-elect, the late Yaradua, came out publicly to say that the election that brought me into power was highly flawed. As a language, highly flawed. And I'm determined to put an end to bad elections in Nigeria on the basis of which is set up the Electoral Reform Panel. For me, I do not expect that the government that will be inaugurated on the 29th of May would think it's going to be business as usual. That question of legitimacy will have to be addressed. And interestingly, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu set up a committee as a non-state actor. After he had left as governor of Lagos, he set up a committee to promote the recommendations of the Waste Panel. And you trust Nigerians. Once he gets to power, he's going to be reminded. This was your position.
You're certainly reminding him.
This was your position.
Right.
Incidentally, it was Alhaji Lai Mohammed that headed the body that was campaigning for electoral reforms, as recommended by the Waste Panel,
Let me just say that it's a perverse world, isn't it? It's a perverse.
Hey people, now the story be that so what we carry come forward now. Now yeah, waiting this smart talk in just the talk round about the whole political saga, inauguration, character wise and everything though. But anyway, my people, make una drop on a comment and I'm visiting this whole matter with this smart talk. So I make una not forget to like and share our video. Now do well. See you in our next video. Bye.